Hi, it's Carolina Moore with alwaysexpectmore.com and 30minutecrafts.com, and this week in our Cricut Maker block of the week, I have a bonus video. That's right, the other video shows you the traditional way to make our economy square or economy patch block as it's known. But this video shows you the foundation paper way. So foundation piecing is what we'll be doing in this video today. Ready? Let's get started. For this version of the economy block, I've pulled out the on-trend fabrics from the Cricut lines of fabric. This is what I picked as my white, this is what I picked as my yellow, and this is what I picked as my pink. So remember, those are just the colors that are in the design space file, so I know which color to use where, so I never run out of the fabric. It's all been designed to work with these fabric kits as long as you use the right color of fabric in the right spot. So this is my white, this is my yellow, this is my pink. If you're using this colorway as well and you've got your colors, your pink is not your pink, this one's not your yellow, and this one is not your white, you're totally fine. Those are just the order that I picked for this set. So I'll have my three fabrics and I've got my mats. I'm also going to be pulling out a green mat, and these are mixed media sheets, which are similar to Thermoweb's sheets for foundation paper piecing. You can also use it kind of looks like a newsprinty paper that are designed for foundation paper piecing. If you want, you can use regular copy paper, but the cheaper the copy paper you have, the better, honestly, because we're going to want it to tear off really easily. So those are your options there. We're going to need a separate file in order to draw on here, and we're going to be drawing on here with just the regular Cricut pen, and you'll find that file down in the links below. So let's go ahead and take this all over to the machine and we'll cut out our fabrics, and then I'll show you about drawing on these sheets. Go ahead and select our cotton, put the cap on the back of our pen and insert the pen. Put in the white fabric. And we're going to go ahead and draw and cut our fabric just like we did before. Now that we've cut all of our fabric, we're going to take the pen out and put the lid back on so it doesn't dry out. And I'm going to switch to our other file. This is our economy block. It is just drawn lines on here. We're going to hit make. We're going to replace what's already on the mat. And we have this here. Now I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it a little bit because I want some space around it. So that's perfect. And then I'll hit continue. What I'm going to pick for materials is just regular copy paper. Then I'm going to put in my pen. It's just the regular black pen that comes with a Cricut. And then I already have my foundation paper here on my mat. And all the machine's going to do is just draw the shape, and then it's going to be done. There we go. We'll unload the mat. And as always, when we have a pen, we'll make sure to remove that pen and put the cap back on and put it away. This pen I actually just keep in my drawer underneath here. Now we'll take everything over to the sewing machine, and we're not using an ironing board this time. Yep, you heard me right. I said we're not using the iron or the ironing board this time. I pulled out the Cricut Bright Pad, which is perfect for doing foundation piecing. And then I've got a little glue stick here, which is optional but handy. And then this is a little pressing tool. It's a little wooden pressing tool that you can use for creasing the fabric instead of pressing it with an iron. And that works really great with foundation paper piecing as well. If you go to a sewing store, they might have like a roller, which is another great option. So these work like an iron would, except instead of heat, you're creasing it like you would crease paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I've taken the sheet that we drew on and I'm flipping it upside down, because with foundation paper piecing, we're actually going to stitch right on these lines and our quilt block is going to magically appear on the back. To make it very easy to see, if I turn on the Bright Pad, I can see those lines easily, and I can see the blue lines that were drawn on by the Cricut. This part's optional, but I find it's handy. If you don't have a fancy sewing glue stick, you can go ahead and grab an Elmer's glue stick, because all we're doing is one quick dab of glue, and that's going to hold this piece right here and hold it steady. All the rest of the pieces are going to be secured with stitches, so that's the only piece that we need to glue. We have all of our other triangle pieces here that we cut out, our large triangles and our small triangles. So we'll set the large triangles aside. We're going to start with these little ones. And this is very similar to the way we stitched before. Right sides together, and you can see through the Bright Pad that everything is all lined up. Now we're going to hold it in place. You could use another teeny tiny dab of glue to hold this. That's up to you. Then we flip it over, bring it to the sewing machine. This is why I love using these sheets, because you can see really well right through. And you're going to sew just like before, all the way across the fabric. We're stitching not just on this line right here, but beyond the line on both sides. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, before we stitch, one last thing, we want to reduce our stitch length. And depending on your sewing machine, there's going to be different spots for you to reduce that stitch length. Go ahead and reduce it. That'll make it easier to remove these sheets later. And well beyond the end. Lift it up, clip those threads, and now we have this on. Now you'll notice that this one a little bit crooked. It's really not a big deal, because we know that everything's going to line up perfectly, because our lines where we sew, we're going to make everything line up perfectly. I can use my little wooden pressing tool, and it's great on this glass of the Bright Pad. That's a great hard surface to press against, and it's just like I ironed it. I'm going to do the other side just like before, and actually here you can do the two sides, or you can work your way all the way around. It's up to you. You have options. Place this piece on and take it to the machine. We're not worried about 1/4 inch seam allowances here. We're worried about stitching right on that line. Now we can see. Perfect. This technique is great when you want perfect points to match and line up, and when you have an option for sections to go out. Also for really intricate, detailed projects that you can cut up into small pieces, because you can make this in sections and then put the sections together, and this foundation paper keeps your fabric from getting stretched, especially on bias. If you want to see some really great foundation piece projects, you can look online and just Google foundation paper piecing. You can search it here on YouTube, and a specific one that I love is called American Beauty. So you can search American Beauty quilt block, and you'll see some really stunning points on quilt blocks that are done with this foundation paper piecing method that you really could not do as well any other way with any other technique. All right, so we'll take this one to the machine. Now, I keep pushing this under, but you can trim this off. You want to give yourself at least a 1/2 inch of space all the way around, which is why I moved this before drawing it on. So that one is perfect. And because everything is stitched on the back exactly where those seams should be, everything on the front is lining up perfect. I love it. Okay, last one, and then we're going to do our second set of triangles going all the way around on this economy block. See, I'm so used to doing regular piecing that I almost did this the wrong way. Flip it over because this sewing line right here is telling me where to go. Anyone who's done foundation paper piecing before will say, hold on, wait, you're missing a step. Because traditionally with foundation piecing, before folding a piece over, you would pull this back and you'd have to trim up your seam allowances to a 1/4 inch. We've already perfectly cut these on the Cricut. So this is actually like super easy, super fast, almost cheater foundation piecing here because we cut everything out with a Cricut and it's perfect and everything fits perfectly. I don't have to go back and cut my seam allowances down to a 1/4 inch, which is why I love, love, love foundation paper piecing with the Cricut. Cutting machines, they cut time really in time it takes to make projects. Now I can add this piece and flip it on over. Now I kept my 1/4 inch foot on here. It might have been a better idea for me to use a foot that has more of an open toe so I could really see the line as I'm stitching. That's up to you. If you have a different foot, you can go ahead and switch that out. Look at that. Point is perfect. And all of my points on this block will be perfect because I'm just stitching on the lines. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish this off with my other 3 sides, and then I'll show you the next steps. So now I'm going to go ahead and just trim this up. I could have done this earlier to get some excess out of the way. And I'm going to cut off any of these dog ears here that are just tucked in here. Just trim them up. Then I can also go through and cut any of my extra threads. To finish up this block, I'm actually just going to use a rotary cutter and ruler. It's the simplest way to just go ahead and square it up and cut all the way around. I'm using the 1/4 inch mark right here on my ruler. So I'm cutting a 1/4 inch away from my line, and that'll be my stitching line when I sew this into the quilt. I am going to leave the paper on for now. I leave the paper on until I can't anymore. So I will leave this paper on until it's sewn into the quilt. That's my ideal, and that keeps everything square and perfect until then. You'll see that it doesn't quite reach all the edges, and that's fine because again, I'm going to be using this paper as the size of my block and it'll fit in just fine. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to remove the papers when you're ready to do so. I wouldn't normally do this now. I would wait until it's all in the quilt, but we'll go ahead and get it started. If you used paper, it'll actually tear a little bit easier, but because of the short stitch length, this tears pretty easily as well. You want to make sure that you're supporting your fabric and supporting the rest of the block. You don't really just want to rip at it because we are putting stress on these seams and we don't want to pop them. Now that would be unlikely, but there's no reason to put extra stress on our block if we don't have to. So just like that, we have one piece out. And we would use that process, that same process, to pull the rest out. And once you have one out, the rest actually get easier because see, now that'll pull out right there, and same right here. You already have both sides of that seam pulled up, and we can just pull out the rest. So there you have it. We have finished this same economy block just with a different method. We used foundation paper to foundation piece our economy block. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me comments below and let me know, did you enjoy a second video this week showing you the same block but with just a different technique? And make sure that you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. I don't want you to miss any of the videos because we have lots more fun coming up in upcoming weeks. Thanks so much for watching.